Now, please don't shoot the messenger. And trust me, I hate being the one to throw a wet blanket on your picnic, but maybe this summer isn't meant to be your best summer. This may not be the best summer ever, a hot girl summer or a hot boy summer. This may be the summer where you get radically honest about your life. Now, we're almost at the midway point of the summer, and this is the perfect time to check in with ourselves. And actually, the astrology of the moment definitely supports that. Now, if you are having the summer of a lifetime, maybe this video isn't for you. Although I will say that there's really some important information that you could glean from this video, so I wouldn't click off just yet. But if your summer isn't shaping up the way that you want it to, keep watching because there's important information that could perhaps help you turn it around. So if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you're new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So today's video isn't just a Debbie Downer and telling you that your summer sucks. This is really about the energy of the moment and perhaps why you're experiencing what you're experiencing, and more importantly, how to use that information to perhaps turn things around. So we are right at sort of the midway point of summer, as I said before, and it's a great time to sort of recap and see how things are going. And the astrology of the moment is actually really helping us do that. And that's because we've got two things going on this week. We've got Saturn going retrograde in Aries, and we have a full moon in Aquarius. Now, both of these, let me not say both, because a lot of the discourse I've been seeing online lately about Saturn retrograde is just full of shit, really. But at least one of these events is really going to perhaps put things in perspective and help get you on the right track, while the other one perhaps is going to stop you in your tracks. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right in. So, first up, we've got Saturn retrograde in Aries. Now, Saturn goes retrograde every single year for several months. So if people are sensationalizing this online, if they're telling you like this is such a rare event, it really isn't. We experience this pretty much every summer. And what I love about Saturn retrograde is that it sort of gets you to stop and recalibrate. And particularly in a sign like Aries, this is about sort of checking on what you've started to build. And more importantly, making sure that you're actually building the right thing as opposed to building something just for the sake of building it. So let's say, and especially this really depends on wherever you have Aries in your chart. Let's say you started something new. You've started a big project, a big undertaking, or maybe you started even something that's not so big, but something that you're willing to commit to. After all, that is sort of the flavor and the vibe of Saturn in Aries anyway. We're starting new things, things that we're passionate about, but that we are willing to commit to. So, since Saturn has entered Aries since the beginning of the year, this has been when we've been actively building, taking action. Don't forget, we're still in a fire horse year. This is the year of action. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of us have been doing just that. But Saturn over a couple of months is like, hold up, what have you been building? This is the time where we're sort of encouraged to take less action. Not to necessarily stop completely, but this could be where we say, okay, perhaps what I've been building needs recalibrating. Or maybe this isn't the right thing to build after all, right? And so, how this sort of plays into your summer is like maybe you've been actively doing this thing since the summer began, right? And summer has a way of sort of heightening our expectations, making us do the most. We want to be outside, all the things. But Saturn in retrograde in Aries is like, hold up, let's stop for a second. And yes, Saturn retrograde might even be like pumping the brakes right now on whatever it is that you're doing. And that's by design. Aries likes to move and it likes to move quickly, but Saturn in Aries is like, you don't want to be moving quickly in the wrong direction or building something that's not valuable or building something that won't stand the test of time. So perhaps if you find that at this juncture, things in your life are coming to a standstill, they're slowing down, or there's mad obstacles or challenges, because that's also the realm of Saturn, it's okay. It's really getting you to understand, are you really committed to this thing? Do you really want to commit this thing for the long term? Do you really see value in this thing? Right? And we need that, especially in a sign like Aries, because Aries is impulsive. Aries feels and it goes, it operates on instinct. Saturn, especially Saturn retrograde here, is going to slow things down a bit. So allow it to. So if your summer isn't popping off the way you want it to, if things slow down, cool. Because whatever you're working towards now is likely guaranteed to last beyond the summer. And again, you don't want to be putting energy, effort, physical effort even into something that's not valuable, something that you're realizing you no longer want, or something that's not going to stand the test of time.
Hey friend, real quick. So I know you've probably been watching some of my videos and you're like, okay, this is great, or this is really interesting, but how does it apply to me? Well, the first place that you would start is with your rising sign. Your rising sign is arguably one of the most important placements in your natal chart. So whether you know your rising sign or not, I created this free guide called Your Rising Sign Strategy. It not only helps explain your rising sign and your chart ruler, but most importantly, it helps you understand how your rising sign shapes your decision making, as well as what that all means when it comes to career, money, and relationships. So if you want to grab the free guide, you can either scan the QR code on screen, especially if you're watching on TV, or if you're watching on mobile or anywhere else, the link is in the description box below. Like I said, it's completely free. And if you're new to my work, this would be the best place to start. So enjoy, and hopefully it's informative. Now, back to the video.
Saturn retrograde also has like a deeply personal aspect to it. It's not even just Saturn in Aries isn't even just, I want this thing, I have this goal, there's this race that I want to run and reach the finish line. Saturn in Aries is also about the person that you need to become to do this thing. And of course, that is deeply personal. So this Saturn retrograde isn't just, okay, how's the project going? It's also about, okay, how am I developing as this person who's doing this project? If you, let's say that your goal, your Saturn and Aries goal is to return to school, right? Maybe you want to go back to college. Maybe you want to get an advanced degree, particularly if Aries is your ninth house, right? So maybe that's the plan, that's the goal. Are you becoming the person that can sustain this goal? Or are you spending your summer outside, drinking, partying, no discipline? You've let all of your routines go by the wayside. Those kind of skills are not going to help for the goal that you are setting right now. And that's not to say you can't enjoy yourself this summer, but at some point you got to say, all right, maybe I need to scale this back a little bit. And I need to really get into the mindset and get into the routine of someone who's going back to school. That's just one example, but it could apply across the board to whatever your Saturn and Aries goal is. Now, maybe you're hearing me say this and you're like, Saturn and Aries goal, I don't even have one. Now might be the time to set one. That may be another way that Saturn retrograde in Aries is getting you to not only, work toward a goal, but become the person that can achieve that goal, right? So food for thought. But in any event, Saturn retrograde in Aries, number one, it's not a rare thing. Number two, it's not this cataclysmic thing. Some people are talking about this transit as, everyone's going to get their karma. Anyone who wronged you is going to experience like hell on earth. Could that be the case? Yeah. But more importantly, whenever we experience a retrograde planet, it's assigned to go inward. This isn't assigned to look outward at people getting their retribution, right? So, in any event, use this time to slow down a little bit. Check in on your goals, but more importantly, check in on the person who is trying to achieve that goal. And do those two things match? That's what Saturn retrograde in Aries wants you to stop and think about right now. And yes, it may take you away from the partying, it may take you away from all the summer stuff, but trust me, it'll be worth it in the end. Now, the second thing that's happening this week is a full moon in Aquarius. And this is like radical eye opening energy. Think of it as sort of like an emotional climax this week. Okay. So here is sort of the astrology and the breakdown of this full moon. On the one end, we have the sun in Leo, and it is conjunct Jupiter in Leo. Okay, so this is like this it's like you're super charged up and super energized when it comes to expressing yourself or being your authentic self. This could also be a moment of clarity when you realize who you are at your core or at your essence, right? And this sort of, when you put Jupiter in the mix, it only expands this almost exponentially. So who you are, who you want to be, who you identify as, you like feel this in a very major sort of way. It could also be this time of radical self-acceptance, radical self-love, getting very comfortable in your own skin, being seen, being noticed. All of the Leo things are being exponentially expanded right now at this full moon in Aquarius. And then directly opposite that, we have the moon in Aquarius, but it's conjunct Pluto. This is like, first of all, this could feel very emotionally charged. Pluto is a very intense planet, and when you pair it up with the moon, it makes for very deep, profound, and intense emotions. So if you find yourself on the emotional roller coaster this week, don't worry, we're all on it together. We're all screaming because the universe is grabbing us by our edges, right? So that's number one. But number two, when you think about this radical self acceptance that we're experiencing with the sun and Jupiter in Leo, and you oppose that with the moon and Pluto in Aquarius, it's like you have this radical self acceptance and self love, but at the same time, you kind of see what's not working. Pluto is going to show you the real deal. And in a sign like Aquarius, Pluto was going to show you perhaps what is standing in the way of your future. Perhaps you're radically, this radical self acceptance has you wanting something or working towards something or believing yourself to be something or someone. Pluto and the moon in Aquarius is like, okay, but this is sort of where you're not like this person. This is what's standing in the way of this radical self acceptance. This is what needs to change, what needs to end, what needs to be reborn in order to move into the future. And that can be a mind fuck, right? Because you're feeling good, you're feeling charged. The sun is like vital energy. You are charged up about this identity or about expressing yourself. Meanwhile, your emotions are like, but we're not this person yet. Or I need to do this, I need to let go of this. It can be very emotionally turbulent. Anytime we have a full moon, it shows you the real deal, what's been hidden, what's been underneath the surface, especially as this full moon is conjunct Pluto, right? But the best way to approach this is find a happy medium. Remember, full moons are by virtue a full moon because the sun and the moon are in opposition. They're opposite each other. And so when we have an opposition, the best way to overcome an opposition is equilibrium, is finding a happy medium, right? You don't have to forego this radical self acceptance because you see a couple of flaws. But you can't just say, okay, I'm accepting this good stuff, but you don't take the bad with it. Find a happy medium. And that's the best way to move into the future, especially because that's how Aquarius kind of wants it. But then we've got a curveball because the moon is going to be trine to Uranus in Gemini. Now, this is good, but it could mean that you might have to be flexible, especially mentally. Roll with the punches and expect the unexpected. This could also be the case that surprising new information becomes available to you, or you unexpectedly learn something, you unexpectedly hear something, someone unexpectedly gives you a great piece of advice. Expect the unexpected, but in a good way. Okay. Now, how does this factor into this summer that you are experiencing? This could definitely put a damper on your summer plans, especially if you are on an emotional roller coaster. Moon conjunct Pluto Pluto can feel very heavy. So this may be a time when you're really not up to socializing or when things just kind of go left, especially with Uranus in the mix. Something unexpected could sort of thwart your plans, make you have a detour, make you have to pivot really quickly and do something else. And of course, if you have, plans, if you want to do something in particular, that could sort of, make you deviate from your plans, right? But I really feel like this particular full moon also has a certain amount of optimism to it, especially because the sun is conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter in Leo, conjunct the sun in Leo, very hopeful, very energetic. And I feel like whatever this radical self acceptance, whatever this radical self love, this desire to really express yourself on the big stage and in a grand fashion, I think that might overcome the emotional roller coaster that we'll be feeling with Pluto and the moon in Aquarius, right? But again, this could kind of throw you for a loop this week, but ultimately it can be eye-opening. Pluto often gets a bad rap because it destroys, right? This could be the destruction of a vision that you have. And that can be really emotionally turbulent, right? Because you decided you wanted this thing, you wanted to be this person, you wanted to have this thing, what have you, right? And Pluto was like, This isn't going to work going into the future." It's almost like, have you ever seen those videos where you just see those cats and they're just like sweeping things off the table, knocking things over? Pluto and Aquarius can be like that because if it's not going to improve your life, if it's not going to take you into the future, then Pluto is like, it can't come on this trip with you. Right? And that can be, again, emotionally turbulent, but very eye-opening because when you know what's not working, now you can focus your energy and your vision on what can work. And I think that the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Leo is perfect for that. The vision of who you could become. It's almost like if you've ever had a daydream about performing or getting a round of applause or being on stage and everyone is giving you a standing ovation. That's kind of what the Sun and Jupiter in Leo can feel like. It's very optimistic, especially when it comes to who you want to be, the role that you want to step into. Okay. So keep that in mind. If everything is kind of turbulent, if you are dealing with things that are coming out of left field, it's just the astrology. We are all dealing with it. And if things have come to a halt, especially with Saturn retrograde in Aries, that's by design as well. Okay. So it's not saying that this can't be your best summer ever. It just may mean that at this point, things might be a little slower. There might be some curveballs. There may be some things that you have to address before you move forward. And keep in mind, next month in August, we are going to be entering eclipse season and things are going to get perhaps really dicey. You know how eclipse season can be. It's radical endings, radical beginnings. It's nobody knows what to do, nobody knows how to feel. And that's what we're about to enter into in August. So, if this isn't quite the summer that you imagined, if things aren't necessarily going the way that you want to, perhaps this is the summer where you're recalibrating, or maybe the best is yet to come, right? But either way, stop, recalibrate, sort of before you move forward with that big project, aka Saturn retrograde in Aries. And this week, especially with the full moon in Aquarius, keep the vision of who you would like to be or the role that you would like to play. However, if there are things coming up that need to end, if certain things need to be changed radically, lean into that. And if you find yourself on the emotional roller coaster this week, don't worry, we're all on it together. So scream as loud as you need to. All right, my loves, that's pretty much all I've got for you for this video this week on the energy of the moment. All right. If you like this video, if you find value in it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and share this with someone who may not be having the best summer, but who needs to hear this information regardless. Now, if you want to know how this summer will particularly affect you, remember these videos are general. This is about the general energy of the moment. But if you want to know how this energy of the moment affects you specifically, then you'll want to sign up for your summer theme. It's a short pre recorded reading that I create for you based off your natal chart. And it really deals with the transits of this summer and how they are affecting you personally. It's very affordable. It's only 66 bucks. So if you're interested and you want to know, particularly as we go into eclipse season, how all of this is going to affect you, then definitely sign up below. It's going to be tagged to the video and the link is going to be in the description box so you can sign up sooner rather than later. All right. And also, if you want even more, like if you want the whole shebang, you want a natal chart reading, my natal chart readings are extremely extensive. It's an experience, not necessarily a reading, and it's called the blueprint. If you want to know more information about that, the link is in the description box below. And if you want to discuss it before signing up, sign up for a clarity call and we can talk all about it. All right, my loves, that's pretty much all I got for you for this video. Hopefully, this week brings you clarity. And if you're not having the best summer that you could possibly be having right now, know that good things are in the near future. All right, my loves, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.